How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books. It's found on the battlefield. Kathy James, what's up? I'm glad to actually meet you. This is exciting. So I'm happy to have this conversation and looking forward to hearing from you. So please tell me about yourself. Tell me what's going on. Who are you? What do you do? And how do you change the world?
Wow. I would like to start by saying that by trade, I am a corporate guru. I come anywhere from operations to credit to technical training, but my passion is mental health. And my passion in this area is based off of my own personal story. And today I am a mental health awareness speaker, and with a focus of resiliency, because I want to educate, our communities on the importance of mental health and a lot of the stigmatization that's surrounding the behaviors that we have as youth or young adults, et cetera, and where that roots from. But to take that a step further, I was like, I don't want to just make someone aware. I want to try to help someone get through it, right? I'm not a professional therapist or anything like that, but I know a few things because one, I've lived it, and two, I've researched it extensively. So I want to help someone to have long-lasting mental health, and that's through resiliency development. So I speak, train, and coach on all things resiliency. And I'm a self-proclaimed resiliency expert because of my lived experiences and the research that I'm committed to. So that's me in a nutshell. Oh, on top of all that, I'm also a mom of three, proud mom of three young men.
The hardest job.
Yeah. So
help people out. I guarantee you not everybody knows what resiliency means in this field. Please help people know what that means.
Right. So resiliency a lot of times is looked at as, the ability to bounce back through challenges, and to how you react in under pressure. But to me, it's a step further than that. It's resiliency in your personal goals. It's not just when a challenge is coming up against you, but also persevering in your goals. So it's that ability to sustain and to, again, bounce back from that adverse experience. So
a lot more like it's not about what's happening. It's how you are trained to handle it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Being able to, think logically through a situation.
Okay.
To self-reflect. There's so many different facets of it, but self-awareness is huge when it comes to resiliency.
Okay, I like it so far. And so far the terminologies, I always listen to the warrior types. Like, which warrior type am I talking to here? And you're talking a lot more like cognitive awareness, the training. Like, can you see it? Did you think through it? Did you plan? And I see you a lot more on the mental side. Like, we got to get that part down. And all parts are needed, so whatever. Yes. I just got done with a coach that was more spirit side, and all pieces are needed. Listen, all coaches are needed. Like, and so
Absolutely.
It's not like Katie's right, but Rick is wrong. It's like, no, all the pieces are needed.
Right.
Gotta get them all. So I'm with
Absolutely.
you. I'm on your side too. I'm on mindset body side. This is me. I'm on like strategy, plan. How did you handle it? Stoicism, get into action. What's your perseverance? Yes. How did you bounce back? We're speaking the language. Right. You're on my side.
Right. Absolutely.
So I want to hear more because I noticed you had like kind of a spiel here to go like, it's not that I don't have my degree in something, but I think people are really understanding this day and age that real talk, not even just my certifications and all the things that we're in, like, I have probably put over $100,000 in specialization for what I want, but it wasn't through college. It was going through this program and learning this specialization. Then that style of mental health, and then going through this tactic, and then learning. Like I put a lot into just focus like a laser, but it doesn't have a college degree associated to it. But I still put about 100K into just specializing.
100K plus hundreds of hours.
Oh my God,
there's
years,
extensive.
Decade. Like we're growing every single area. So this is where it's funny that you like, I have to really explain myself here when people are starting to recognize like, well, the people who are hyper focused and not working, where they have to have a degree that also included gym class and puppeteering, were like, well, that I didn't need that. They're taking,
right.
like,
stargazing.
Yeah. You don't have to go into, I did my math also. It's like, well, what's that have to do with the psychology? I need somebody who understands this. And so this is where like I get a little bit more like I'm interested to see like the masters are not necessarily going to be going through traditional stuff. It's going to be, I grew up in hell. I learned how to fight my way out. I understand all the pitfalls. And now I go into hell and I get people and show them the way to get out so they can train their kids how to get out too.
Yes.
Like we break generational curses. We fight through all of the traumas and the pains. I teach you the strategies and the ways to do it. And I think a lot of people aren't understanding necessarily, damn, that's valuable versus I read the books. I studied the brochures. I got a piece of paper that says I did it, because there's a difference from people who do and the people who read about it. It's a different thing.
Absolutely. I can go and learn everything that the psychology major can learn, but they'll never be able to learn my personal experiences. They'll never be able to truly understand those perspectives in a real life situation. Not to discredit all of the study and the heart that goes behind those types of studies, but I struggled with that, and I still struggle with that sometimes, because I was asked recently what they had looked me up on LinkedIn and saw that I didn't have that study piece from a formal degree. Mm-hmm. And I stumbled for a second, and then I was like, no, wait a minute. You can't teach this in school, so you can't teach, the realization of adverse childhood experiences from the perspective of the child.
Well, even still, this is where a big promotion that I'm doing for us, for anybody, is it doesn't matter what somebody says they're an expert in. It doesn't matter what school they went to or degree. There's some people who do the study, but they don't have the gift.
Right.
They don't have it. Yeah. And that's okay. So you should be challenging everybody. They should be challenging you. They should be challenging me.
Absolutely.
They should be challenging anybody who's got a white coat. They should be challenging. Are you actually good at this? Or do you just practice? Sure. Are you good? Like, do you see me? Do you understand how it works? Do you have strategies that have, like, you've got, this has worked and this has worked? Or do you just go like, hey, I'm going to treat the symptom and then be on your way? There's a difference. And so you should be challenging everybody. And I'm glad that they challenged you. Hey, do you have that thing?
Absolutely.
I don't have that thing. I have something better. Challenge to see if it works. Right.
Very good. Very good. I agree.
Also, if you want to have fun whenever you're live, whenever people start going, what's your degree? What's your degree? What's your degree? I'm going to let you know. It's very funny to me. They really just want to talk about themselves. And so I just go, can we just skip the bullshit and you can tell everybody what you did that you're proud of?
Right.
What's your favorite paper that you wrote, and what's your favorite piece of paper you have? I want to hear all about it, please.
Yes.
Because I know this isn't about me. It's about you.
Right. Right. And we recognize that, right? But a lot of times we don't, many don't. They don't recognize that. And knowing that, we recognize it, but we also have a slight empathy for it because we know what's going on up here, right? Yeah. So it's hard. It's a twofer. It's like, oh, you're trying to offend me, or you're trying to whatever it is,
expose me, or whatever that feeling would be. Yeah.
But it's not about me. Mm-hmm. It's not about me.
Yeah. It takes a higher level training to go like, I see you. It's a bummer, but I see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Aside from that, please tell us some of your experiences. Like me personally, I'm getting into the speaking sphere. I've been doing this for a long time, but time to get on other people's stages, time to get out there. Please, I want, speak to me as though like you're going to help this dude out. Does he have what it takes? Here's what he needs to do. What's your signature speech? Here's how you get in there. I got on TED Talk. Please tell us your experience. I've also been working with like Tanner Guzzi and other people who've done TED Talks. I can't wait to hear your experience and your stuff. How did you do this? What's the story?
So I will say that I'm still new to the speaking gig, so I don't know if I'm the right person, but I think that I have enough to where I can offer some, right? I think that I go back down to my basics. When I decided that I wanted to heal from my childhood trauma, there were certain basics there, right? When I decided that I wanted to get out of financial debt, there were some certain basics that I went back to there. Didn't realize it, but there were still some foundational truths there. And then when I decided that I wanted to step out on my own and start sharing my story as a speaker, yet again, there's those foundations. I think that it's huge to surround yourself with your entourage, those people that are in the industry that you want to be in, right? Those movers, those shakers, those people that have been there, done that, and can rinse and repeat, right? That will help elevate you to the next level, whatever it is, whether it's weight loss, whether it's your speaking career, podcasting career, your operations manager career path, whatever it is. I'm a huge proponent of mentorship, coaching, having your people, and it's the right people. You have to have the right entourage, your corner men, your corner women, your spar partners, whichever have you. You have to find your people. For me, it took off when I found my coach, and he has been so huge support of my speaking career and growing my brand as an individual who had all of these desires and all of these plans, was great in the corporate world, but couldn't figure out how to strategize on her own for her own passions. And he helped me to create a clear vision for myself and to enhance my talk and to build my credibility by getting out there on virtual summits and getting credibility through podcasts and things like that. So I think that you are way ahead of the game on that part, right? And you already have an audience. And so I think that finding the right networking groups to find those stages is going to be easier for you, I think, because you're already got a little bit of a jump. But for those people that are, starting out, if they're listening, it's definitely, there are different networks out there that will help you. You don't have to spend, let's do this because this is huge. You don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a program. There are coaches out there that with great skill that will help you without you spending thousands of dollars on a 3-month program or whatever have you. Now, I understand coaches should be paid for their time, their resources, etc. I paid for my coach to coach me. Okay. It was reasonable for the service that he was providing. And he didn't just go away either. I'm no longer tied to him monetarily, no longer under contract with him, but he is still there for me until death do we part. So you've got to find your right people. You be strategic with it. Don't just settle. You wouldn't settle for your doctor. You wouldn't settle for, your child care for your children. Don't settle for your professional coaches or your mentors. You can be very strategic in making those selections.
I think
hopefully that was good.
No, it's helpful. I think it's all, and I've also talked to people too that validate what you just said. I think it's important, to try getting into the support systems that do what you do. I think it's absolutely right. You are who you hang out with. So hang out with people that do what you want to do.
Absolutely.
I'm with you on this. Find the right people thing. Now, I have talked to some people, and it may be just the levels thing or something like this, but I had a guy reach out. He's like, dude, you're fantastic at what you do. We would be able to do that, but I want you to work with our guy who does this thing. And like you said, it's a 3-month program or whatever, but it's going to be $30,000 or something. And you're like,
yeah.
Well, what is he going to, does he work for me? He's like, well, no, you'll talk to him once a week, maybe once every couple of weeks. And then they'll give you an idea of what he does. And I'm like, I could hire a whole person that just does this full time for that. What are you talking about? I don't know if I can invest in that. Yeah, but he makes, $2 million a year doing speeches. And I'm like, that sounds cool.
but
if there's
yeah,
really that many talks out there that are just wide open, I don't know if I can throw 30K on just like, let's start here. But maybe somebody who's like 5K or 6K or something where
right,
like, now it's starting to get to where like, okay, well, what's that look like? Let's create the dynamic. Let's get a couple speeches because we can return on investment can be within a couple months. Like, let's
right,
do this, fair
right,
enough. And
right.
so I'm with you on that. Find the right people, find the right one for you. It doesn't,
Absolutely.
you don't have to go like, okay, I guess I'll take half of my annual income if I'm doing well, and let's try and get some speaking gigs that I have to book myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like it's still a tough industry, right? To get
Mhm.
into. And even those that are seasoned still have those same struggles, right? So it's not like, oh, I dropped this and then it's all magically going to happen.
Yeah.
I did a TEDx talk back in April, and I do have a launch release coming up next week, and I'm extremely excited about it. Thank you. And truth be told, it's already out there, but I'm holding it back from talking about it to my audience. One more week, right? By the time this launches, it'll be past that. So, but I have been trying to be strategic with that release to build the audience, because I don't have a huge following, right? And what do you do with that when you don't have a 5,000, person email list that all of these folks are requiring that they didn't start out with, so it's a lot of hard work, but it's worth it because I know that I have a message, and I've known for 22 years that I have a message, and I want to make sure that I yell it from the rooftops, right? So I think that now that I have some content, right, to show my my presence on stage, right, that's huge. Any type of booking agency or association, they're going to want some sort of proof. Now, I can have a conversation with you and present my entire keynote talk with you, and that would be good, right? But then you got to take it a step further and actually get on stage to show that presence. And I think now that I have that, I can take it a step further and reach out to those associations and those booking agents, whether it's a college booking agent or working with, the schools or whatever. Because I have such a wide audience. I have to, I want to speak to the youth and the young adults and the leaders of youth and young adults because of my personal experiences. But then I know the perspective from mental health from a corporate perspective as well. So I do have two major keynotes for that. But I think now that I have some video content underneath my belt, that'll be a little bit easier. But like I said, I'm still new. I've learned a lot. And I think that I've done a really good job at putting my brand out there in such a little bit of time. I've built a lot of momentum in a very short period of time. I'm writing a book, that hopefully, cross my fingers, will be published this coming fall. Didn't write it in a day.
Each book I've got has taken a couple of years, so don't.
Yeah, it's been several years, so I want to make sure that it's right. It's under review right now.
It's not right, just so you know, because as you keep evolving, like my first book, the Everything is a Choice, like that book, I'm going to republish it because now I read it and I'm like, those 3 chapters are completely incomplete. So no matter, it's just right for right now. It's just my best I've got at the moment. But then as you evolve and as you keep growing, you're going to go back in 5 years and go, oh my God, now that I know that whole chapter. Shit.
Yeah, agreed. And that's
so just put
that's
it
the
out.
thing. It's just like, So I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I think I'm almost there, and I'm gotten way better at just pulling the Band-Aid off and going with it and saying my prayers and throwing it out there, because that's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how we experience life. I used to run and avoid everything, and now I'm just, I don't like to push off anything. Now I still have to be mindful. I still have to be strategic and think through things. Otherwise, it's just throwing it out to the wind, and that's not good either. But there has to be a good balance. But I'm ready to say enough is enough. Let's just put it out there because somebody still needs it.
One thing I love, and I write about this pretty hard, is the moment. Like the moment. And like people will work for years. They'll work through grief. They'll work through like overcoming obstacles. They'll work through trauma. They'll work through stuff. But there's the moment it clicks, the moment, that aha moment, call it whatever you will. Like it may be like, oh, I want to quit smoking. I want to quit smoking. I want to quit smoking, until that moment you're like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done smoking. Like there's the moment, like I'm done.
Oh yeah.
I'm done.
Yep.
What was your moment where you were like, I run away, I hide, I don't talk about it, I leave it alone, I don't want to deal with that stuff, to where you're like, you know what? Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's do it. Let's go. Where was the switch? Like what happened to make it so you go like, I'm done living my life that way. Let's do it this way. Where was the moment?
Okay. It's going to go back to that spiritual piece that you were talking about that you had with your last
Listen,
guest.
They're all needed. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in my early 20s and there was a lot going on up here. Anger, rage, fear, ball full of some, craziness, right? I was on the brink of snapping, and I was a bully. I was ill-educated. I was consistently jobless, and my marriage was a wreck before we ever even got married. We threatened each other with divorce before we even said our dues. So it was bad. It was bad. And I take a lot of responsibility for that because of where I was in my mental state for many years. And not to say that I take all responsibility, because I don't. But I take responsibility for my actions. And I remember one night, well, I guess I need to back up. There were some individuals that came into our life, from some friends of his from work or whatever, and they seemed to have something that I didn't, right? These women, these wives, right? Kind of put them at an arm's distance because they weren't partying and going out like I was, and they whatever, but there was still something. Anyways, long story short, one day my husband and I are fighting, like screaming to the top of our lungs at each other, and we separate, and I'm in my bed. It's dark. I'm in my pajamas, and I start screaming at him. Not an unusual scream. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Inside, I was saying, I don't want this marriage. I don't want this anymore. Mentally, I was done, contemplated even self-harm, so, and in that moment, all of a sudden, I heard a voice. You don't have to do this anymore. And it wasn't you don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to put up with this bullshit anymore. It was you literally don't have to do this anymore. And for whatever reason, a calm and an excitement came over me. And I don't talk about this very much because it throws people off, right? But in that moment, I knew that my life was going to be different. And I made a decision to make it different. And I remember I ran into the next room. He probably thought I was crazier than when I was screaming at him, because I'm telling him this. And thankfully he was a spirit, he had, a spiritual man. So he understood to a degree, but he still probably thought I was crazy. And he probably was very apprehensive as well because of how toxic our relationship was. But that was the moment. And from that point
when you
on,
got that,
go ahead.
Yeah. I don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to do this anymore. Which part did you let go? Because I think people get the surrender very confused. That's not give up. It's not, I don't do anything. What did you not have to do anymore?
I didn't have to live the life I was living anymore. I didn't have to feel miserable anymore. That I had the choice to be a different mother than my mother was to me. Because at that point, I wasn't. I was reliving it. I was walking it out. I was a mother at 16, the same age my mother had me. I was a borderline alcoholic by the age of 19. My mother, I was following all of those same patterns that my family had, for generations. And I had made the decision that I didn't want that for my son anymore. And later it became a decision for me. Right. So it was in that moment, I don't know. I didn't even realize what that meant. I just knew that I didn't want it anymore.
Yeah, you denounced all of your training. You don't have to do this anymore means you don't have to do the behaviors and belief that you have anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Different surrender. People don't understand that part. Like that's the moment. That's the everything changes. You cannot be what you were anymore because what I am is not what I want to be. And all of my training, all of the stuff from my mom or my dad or my ex or my anything, this is not mine. And I do not have to be that anymore.
I remember reflecting one day and actually crying my eyes out, hearing a similar voice saying that this is where the empathy comes in from my mother, right? That I don't have to walk and follow in my mother's footsteps in her shoes. But then I realized those shoes were never meant for my mother either.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Warrior, thank you so much for being a part of the information that we have. And you're part of our story as we are a part of yours. It's very much an honor to be able to connect with each other. If you want to know more or you want to get started with working with me or working with our warriors so that you can begin your path to authenticity, strength, leadership, and accountability, this is the way. Together, we are way stronger. Now you get to choose. Do you go forward or keep doing what you've always done? If you stay where you're at, hey, click on some of the stuff and follow what it is. We got motivational stuff. We've got podcasts. We've got more things. Just subscribe and do the stuff and we'll keep you updated. But if you want to start going in, start jumping into what our programs offer and start your journey and being the hero in your own story.
It's a generational curse. And who's going to break it? Is it going to be you or your kids?
To think some of them are broken over time, right? I break some generational curses in my time, and they further.
Or are they going to do it? Who's breaking them?
I'm breaking them.
You're breaking them. Somebody's got to fight these curses. Someone's got to break the curse. Is it going to be you or your son?
Absolutely.
Who's breaking it?
Yeah, absolutely. They're extremely proud of me for that as well. We went through a time where we struggled as mom and young adults, because my ex-husband passed away several years ago, and especially that last year and a half, 2 years after he passed, even though we weren't married anymore, we became really good friends and co-parented really well with each other. But my boys and I, my two older boys and I struggled hard, big time. And I had to get back to the basics. I was like, I can't control their actions. I can only control what I can control. And so I went back to therapy. And I'm extremely proud of that because I know that by going back to those truths that helped me early on, that it not only saved my relationship with my boys, but I was also struggling with walking out in my purpose, which I'm doing today, because I wanted to do something. I wanted to make an impact. And during that time, I decided I'm never going to be perfect. I'm going to always struggle in some area or the other, but I'm not going to keep that from doing what I know that I'm called to do and what I'm passionate about. And that's when I started walking out and, really getting out into the community and trying to help and share my story. It took me a minute to come out and to learn and to open up about a lot of the pieces of my story. And little by little, it's become more natural for me, right? Because I know that it's helping so many others. But anyways, could go on and on.
No, I think it's one of those things that I notice. I write about rock bottom often. This is a defining moment in my life. Very similar thing. I had a chaotic upbringing. I say I grew up in Sparta. I grew up near inner city Detroit, and I grew up in a very tough area, tough family. Everybody had to be very tough. Detroit's not a weak city. If you're not hard, you're food. And so that was Detroit. And so everything about what we did was tough and mean and aggressive and hard. And so I relate with you to have that rock bottom moment. It's usually when you're in extreme situations or hardcore crisis that you really have like, I can't deny how bright the flashlight is on me right now.
Right.
I can't
Right.
deny my behavior. I can't deny my beliefs. I can't deny my justifications anymore. I can't use this anymore. My excuses are running thin, and I'm getting sick and tired of my own bullshit.
Right. Right.
It's a very
Yeah.
important moment. It's an existential moment. It's a moment that you have to change your entire life. And so I can highly relate to you because growing up in Sparta, it's an abusive dynamic just to survive.
Right.
And so for me to do the same thing, I had to have my same moment. My story's been out there a bunch of times. People have heard it, where I ended up punching out a car window with an argument with my my ex-girlfriend at the time. Well, I mean, at the time, it was my high school sweetheart. So call that love. Sure. So I punch out a car window and my arm's bleeding. She's crying. My car's broken. And I'm standing there in the glass just watching her cry and my arm just bleed because I punched a window like a brilliant man I was. And so I'm standing there and I'm just going like, this is not the guy I'm going to be. Not going to be this man anymore. This is what I was trained to be. You don't like it, you hit it. You don't like this, you break it. You don't like it, you yell and you scream, you get aggressive, you hit your chest. You know, this is what I'm going to do. I'm like, this is not. I denounce all of my training. All the things you showed me, that's what I'm supposed to do. I am doing the opposite. I'm putting everything you showed me into the do not do category. What's the right answer? I have no idea, but I know it's not that.
Right. Right.
You know, and so it's time to, I'll start fresh, way better than go off of what you showed me to do. And yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that people try to avoid rock bottom, but it's one of the most important moments in your life. And people like don't necessarily recognize it. Like you need to completely wipe out on your face in order to wake up sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't always happen that way, but a lot of times, more times than not.
Depends on your support system.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you hang out with people who are like,
hey, before that happens, right? And that's what we're here for. We're here to help, you know, people to foresee that coming so that we can divert, right?
You hope. I think people have to have some sort of a moment, maybe not a complete blow up, but some moment where they're like,
you still have to have that.
I'm doing something that it's not working for me. Like there has to be a humble pie slice has to be delivered at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you go like, I think it's me. there's a moment where that has to come in. We're like,
and you have that moment multiple times over. That's how we grow. You're going to have those aha moments. Oh, it's me moments throughout your entire life. And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, every loss is a lesson. Every mistake is meant to teach you something. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's I think it's a good message, and that makes perfect sense too. But yeah, when you said like I'm the bully, I'm the mean one, I'm crazy, you know, those things. It's like you didn't know when you were in it.
Nope.
You know, but
no clue.
It's also a huge representation of how hurt you really were.
Right.
Because you were just hurting everybody.
Right. Well, it's crazy though, because I started out being bullied and then I became the bully. So I know both sides of the coin, you know.
Which one was better?
You said that, well, no, neither. Both of them suck.
They're both monstrous. Yeah, it sucks both ways.
You mentioned, you know, punching out a window. You know, I used to try to pull girls out of cars. You know, I'd stand behind cars hoping for the young woman, the girl, to come out so that I could confront her with my friend. And thankfully that never happened, but that's how toxic I was. That's the mental state I was in. You know, I originally started taking up for myself and thought I was taking up for others, but then I became the very bully that I once loathed, that I hated, that I didn't want to be. And I didn't recognize myself in the mirror anymore. And then it didn't matter if it was a stranger or a family member or friend. I'd lash out in any situation.
Yeah. Never dealt with the stuff. Yeah. At some point it had to come to a head. The suppression leads to expression and you're going to blow up somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But it's good that you like are laying in bed and like you heard the message. You have different levels. Every level you're going to have a different breakthrough on those things. And so, ironically, that was a breakthrough into my mental side. The next time that was a spirit side, that was a totally different breakthrough. And then heart side, a totally different breakthrough, because my heart and spirit sides were both very repressed. But you don't know until you level up enough that you hit that wall, and then you have to break through, and then now you're in a whole nother level. And
And then you look back and you're going, huh.
Yep. Each level has a new devil, though. So there's a whole new boss in this level. So I got to learn a new style, learn a new skill, and learn how to do this. And then you hit another wall. And so this is why it's good to be able to have the different, you have to learn all your areas and have probably multiple coaches in multiple areas, because you got to find mastery. And that does create your network. It's kind of cool too. Like, my network is getting stronger and stronger, where I have, people I can call who are masters in their field. And I go, hey, listen, I'm stuck on this thing. And they're like, brother, you pulled me out of this thing. I got you. It's cool.
Yeah. And that's that's how you know that you're doing something right. When you have those people, that entourage there, that you're supporting them, they're supporting you. And it's a beautiful thing, to be able to find your people, whether it's, your circle or your entourage or, whatever you want to call it. It's those people that are going to back you and support you and cheer you on, those diehard fans, so I'm all about the whole champion theme, because I took on that theme for, because I used to fight a lot, and then I started fighting for my future. Now I'm fighting for everybody else's futures too. So, I use a lot of fighting metaphors, even though I'm not a boxer by any means, but it's all up here.
I don't use any fighting metaphors in the Warriors way.
Yeah. Right.
I'm just kidding. Everything is battle.
I'm like, yeah, right.
Everything is battle. Everything is fight. Everything is
speaking of battlefield of the mind. I don't know if someone told you, one of your assistants or whatever told you, but what drew me to this talk was the book by Joyce Myers called Battlefield of the Mind.
Yeah, I hope she doesn't find out about this podcast. I'm getting sued for sure.
I'm sure she'll.
Nobody tag Joyce.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. It's fine. No, I knew about the book a long time ago.
Yeah. So after I made that decision, I started growing and things like that. And I was watching her one day on the local television channel or whatever, before, when you dialed it in and just, didn't have Netflix and Amazon. And I was watching her, and I don't remember if it was the first time that I'd watched her or the second time I watched her, but she was her personal story is what triggered me to say, I want to help other people. And up to that point, I was just whatever, right? We were barely making it financially, relying on different services or whatever. And, I couldn't even fathom dreaming of something else much, because I couldn't see past my own circumstances. But I heard her story, and it was very interesting, about her childhood, different than mine, but still about her childhood. And here she was, standing in front of all of these men and women, sharing her story confidently. And she wasn't breaking down. She was sharing it in such a way that was helping other people. And it wasn't the glamour of it, being on stage in front of 1,000 people. It was just in awe of her using her story to help someone else. And that's when I knew that I wanted to do that. And I was in my 20s. Here I am in my 40s, so, but I just love it, because I remember visualizing myself speaking and writing a book and different things like that. And here I am. It might take me 20 years, but here I am walking it out. And that's the exciting piece about it. Now, I've had my ups and downs, and, growth is not linear, but I'm extremely proud of where I am. And, that I even for a time when I gave up on it, I came back to it, and I'm fulfilling that out now. And I'm extremely passionate about that. But it's just crazy how those moments, change your mindset, your focus, but then they stick out so vividly, like they were yesterday. And that one in particular drew me to this podcast because of the Battlefield of the Mind. Because later I sought out her book from the library. I checked it out in the library. I didn't even pay for it. But I read that book multiple times over because it was all about changing your thinking and grabbing onto your thoughts and, be, and etc. But anyways,
No, that's
Battlefield of the
awesome.
Mind.
Yeah.
They have a
Congratulations
youth
too.
version as well.
That's good. Congrats.
Yeah.
By the way, like having that moment to say, I'm gonna start to dream and I'm gonna work toward my dream. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Just keep going towards your dream. And you're like,
Exactly.
now I'm doing the thing that I said I wanted to do. And again, like just everybody don't tag Joyce because Kathy she didn't buy that book. She never got any royalties. So we're not tagging Joyce in this one.
I bought the book later.
Sure. Me too. We all did. Everybody bought it. There you go, Joyce. No, it's funny. Yeah. No, I knew about the book, but there's no other podcast called this. But I know that what we do in the Warrior's Way really comes down to like it really is a mindset of how are you going to face or how you handle it. We get into a lot of stoicism, a lot of philosophies. We get into action oriented. There's got to be there's a lot of military guys, a lot of guys who get into tactics, strategy, game plan, execution. We get into like, how are you going to do this? What is the best way? What has worked best? How do we practice? Repetition. We train together. We lock shields together. We go into battle together. And so this is the mindset, but it's all the men just thrive together because we have to have that unity. We have to have that camaraderie. And today's day and age is wrong. It's wrong that guys have to go it alone, especially the young guys. I'm with you as far as like, it's tough to get through to youth though, because there's so much influence, everybody we know, you, me, everybody has ADD. Do you know why? You have one of these. You have if you have a phone, which is not really a phone, it's more of an entertainment device. But if you have one of these, you have ADD or ADHD. You have that because that's what its job is to give you that. You have to be like, oh, notification. Oh, what is that? Oh, what I want. Yeah. Ooh, a new social media post. Ooh, a new thing from a favorite speaker. Ooh, a new thing from whatever. Like, what is it? What is it? It's what I love. And so, it's going to be a tough world to try to get into everybody that you want to try to reach. And so that's why I'm going towards men. My guys, there's just not a lot of places for guys. There's more coming, but there's got to be healthy guys, because we see other groups that are starting, but they only have one of the pillars, if you will, one warrior type, spirit side. So you see church groups, but they're only saying, pray on it. And they're like, what do I do though? Where's my free will? Where's my tactics? Where's the heart aspect? And who's really got my back here? Because you see guys too, I went to the church group, but then after I didn't go twice because my life went upside down, not one person checked on me.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not our group. And not everybody here is religious. It's you have to create a community that supersedes just one pillar.
Right.
And that's
agreed.
That's been the unique part about what we do is like, it goes to all sides. Everything whatever you are, you're needed, which is better, rock, paper, or scissor.
They're all needed.
Each one beats the other one. They're all together. Right. Like there's each one does a thing that supports the strength and weakness of the other one. Like that's what it is. Absolutely. It's the same thing. And so this is where what warrior type is best. Is it the heavy armored paladins? Is it going to be the go-getter Spartans? Is it going to be my clever and creative Jedis, or is it going to be my my mental warriors for the generals or the strategists? Who's most important? It's like they all work together perfectly. I don't know what you mean.
Right. And you're right. It's absolutely needed. And it in a way, it's hard for me to reach the men, right? So a lot of us women, we desire that, but we're not the right person. Now there might be instances where we can share a message and it's received, right? But we need more men like yourself and those that you're working with to speak up more and to let others in the community know that it's okay. And we're seeing more of it, but we need more of it.
We need more healthy versions of it.
Right.
Because there's a lot of guys out there who are trying because they see the need and they're trying to do their best, but they're at the beginning of their journey and they don't know yet. It's not to say they're wrong or they're bad or whatever they're doing is not good. But people are trying to charge high ticket when they're at the beginning of their journey. and
Right.
it's going to expose itself. I don't look at it as a negative, like, because,
Right.
the people who are actually really good at what they do are going to start standing out, but it's going to be just like people who have been burned by church, for example. It's like,
Yeah.
is all church bad? Well, no.
No.
But if
No.
you go to a few bad ones, you're going to feel like church is bad. It's like, but they're not all
Sure.
bad. Just some of them may not be
Exactly.
the right ones for you.
Right.
And that's the same thing with coaches. They're going to be exposing themselves pretty soon. So I'm like,
Right.
bring it on. This is why my philosophy is to challenge everybody. Challenge
Right.
Kathy. No, she doesn't have a PhD in this, but see if she's good at it. Challenge her. Ask her hard questions. See if she can help you through that. If she gives you incompetent answers, that's your answer. If she gives you highly competent answers, that's your answer. Ask.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we should all be challenged. This is where it's like, yeah, she didn't go to a school I think she should have gone to, but Hard Knocks teaches lessons 3 times faster.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because it's like, I think about my boys, and they're great young men, but they didn't experience some of the things that I experienced. And so they're learning those lessons a little later. I'm like, well, wait a minute. How do I, so it's funny just watching them go through, but then at the same time, they've heard my stories. That I'm very open with them about my experiences and why I do things a certain way. And we have that relationship right now. Right. But it's just funny watching them grow and making their own decisions. And, some of them have been tough decisions because mom had to let them go and make those tough decisions, because I know you're not going to learn unless you hit a wall. You
know which kids it is. I've got my oldest one is the one where I'm like, all right, everybody, if you touch the stove, it's going to burn you. Okay. And then I'm like, all right, med kit's ready. Go for it. Like, ready when you're ready. And like, I already know which one's going to do it. And the other 2 know too, because they're like, do it. Like, we already know. So I'm like, I'm waiting for the scream. Med kit's ready. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you. Knew you were going to do it.
The other kids, learn from it, right? They're watching. And it's like, okay, I get it now. Our first kids are practice.
So. You hope so, because you got the one who's like, ow, ow, ow. And then later on, you see the youngest with the stove mark on their face. And you're like, what? Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they said it only hurts your hands. You can lay down on it. We're like, oh.
You're right.
Your older brother's grounded. He knew better. All right. Here's the tough thing. I got a real question for you. What's the age of your boys? You said your older ones. Like, what's the age of your boys?
So my oldest son, he wouldn't like me calling him a boy, I guess. He's going to be 26.
I'm not a boy anymore. Mom.
Yeah.
No,
full on beard.
base, mother.
Yeah. He'll be 26. So
right on.
Yeah.
Good.
And then
grown ass man.
And then my middle son will be 21.
Oh boy.
In August. So, and my youngest son is 16.
Is it funny? Like, he's going to be 21. He can finally have a drink. And you're going to be like, finally.
Yeah. He is way more responsible than I was, though. He if he drinks, he drinks very moderately. Even my oldest son doesn't drink.
Drink. He doesn't drink.
Right.
Like young
drinks,
you is like,
not
right.
Near as bad as mom was, right? So, because I was, I was pretty bad.
What do you think their toughest thing is as a young man? That transition from teenager to man, even in the 20s, is really, really difficult. What do you think the hardest thing you've seen your boys go through is? Aside from the loss of their father.
Right. Identity.
Let's call that what it is. Yeah.
Identity.
Do you know what the tough part about going from teenager to man is? It's tough. Chris Rock did a whole thing on it too, and I agree completely with it.
Okay.
It's a tough thing. What is the value of a man? How do you measure it? Because if you go from boy to man, your entire value system gets switched. Do you know what the value of a man is?
I don't think that I'm going to get it right, so I'm just going to defer to you.
Okay, it's tough. as boys, we start learning teenage years. Could you imagine if we used a female system of love me for who I am? We're going to go out on a date. And on our date, I'm like, hey, Kathy, awesome. Thanks for hanging out. I've already picked out places for us to live. It's going to be beautiful. We can move you in by next week and we're going to have a great life. It's going to be really good. And you're like, wait, what? I'm like, oh, don't worry about who I am. We're going to just love me for who I am. Don't worry about what that is. Just love me for who I am. Just love me for who I am. I don't have to worry. Don't worry about, what I do for a living. Don't worry about what my living situation is. We're going to have a beautiful place together. Just love me for who I am. Don't worry about safety, security. Don't worry about my quirks or interests. Don't just love me for who I am. Right. How's this date going?
Scary.
You freaked out yet? Yeah. Love me for who I am doesn't sound like a great thing when the dudes are doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how girls come in on I'm interviewing you because you should love me for who I am.
See, I don't feel like I did. Well, I might have done that when I was younger. I don't know. But today I'm like,
listen, if you assessed young you's resume, what did you really bring to the table aside from lots of drama?
Right.
And did your drama really outweigh? Did your baggage really get outweighed by all your benefits? Was your benefits way higher than baggage or baggage way more benefits? Yeah.
Baggage.
In which case, what was your dating strategy again? Because it wasn't, here's my baggage and here's my benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Love me for who I am.
Right.
And you start doing Marilyn Monroe quotes. If you don't love me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Don't worry about my worst, though. I'm not going to talk about it. So fuck you. No, I'm just talking about love me for who I am.
Right.
You're like, wait a second. Can you imagine a dude having that strategy? You wouldn't get a second date.
No, you wouldn't.
See, and this is the part where guys learn this too. We can't go in with that attitude. We can't go in. Little boys can be loved for who they are. We can love you for just being a little boy. I can love you for being a little boy. But somewhere in our teenage years, it goes from I love you for who you are to I love you for what you provide.
That breaks my heart.
It is a tough reality for the fellas. We don't get love for being who we are. You even more difficult. Guys argued. They say we have more empathy than women. I said, really? Why do you say that? Men can have empathy for their woman and for their kids and for other guys. Women do not have empathy for their men. They can be very high on well-being. Did your clothes get done? Do you have a sandwich? Sure. Are you ready for work? I have all of your well-being taken care of. What about my feelings?
Wow.
Well, I don't want to talk about your fucking feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about the arguments you used to have before your breakthrough moment. How many of them were like, sweetheart, your heart has to be hurt from what just happened. What's going on with my guy? How are you feeling?
Right.
He didn't never ask how his feelings were. Never once.
No.
This is transition from boy to man is nobody cares about your feelings anymore. Maybe your well-being, but well, what kind of job do you do? How much money do you make? What's your 5-year plan look like? What kind of car do you drive? Do you live with your mom? We're going to go into your resume. Let's see what you do. What's your potential look like? What's your dream look like? What are you going to be doing for your purpose? Let's go into who are you for me?
Right. But then you also get it on the other side. The moms are pushing for that as well. Mm-hmm. How's your job? How, as we're saying this, I'm guilty of this.
Where's the feelings?
As we're having this conversation, I know that I'm guilty of this.
Where's the feelings at for your boy? When are they allowed to have feelings? In fact, almost every man that I have has.
I do on that part, but I do push for the career and things like that because that's
sure.
In a sense, that's what we need to do, but it's not necessarily for their relationships. So I still push it. But I would like to think that I cater to their feelings and I do regular check-ins.
Mom is different. Mom, listen, but relationship.
Yeah.
Here's a funny thing. You can relate to this. When it comes to men and women and kids, when it comes to wavy lines, dads usually with kids, way less wavy lines. Now bedtime's at 8:30, get to bed, don't argue, stop talking to your mother that way, eat your vegetables, don't argue back. Dads and kids, usually, not always, less wavy lines, solid lines. With
Sure.
their woman, though, oh man, she said stuff that I've killed for less. And like she's gotten away with murder. Wavy lines for your girl. Like, oh my God.
Right.
Well, women, when it comes to kids, wavy lines. Like kids get away with murder
Sure.
with mom. They know if they get away with it, they go to mom. Mom will let you get by. Mom's the one I can sneak through the back door. Like she'll let it. She's like, it's fine. It's just depending on the day. You
Yeah.
guys are on a good day, you can get away with murder. But the dude, no wavy lines. You better keep it on the up and up. Better not be messing around. I'm watching you. It's funny. Like you see the dynamics. So now your sons go from boys, love me for who I am, to transition into men where they go from wavy lines to no wavy lines.
Mm. Yeah.
What are you loved for? You better have a good job. You better have your shit together. You better be a solid man. And how's your stoicism? And are you good under pressure? And are you clutch in situations? Are you handy? Do you fix things? You know, are you good with kids? Do you want kids? Are you going to be a good provider? Are you a good protector? Do you preside? Are you a leader? What are you, alpha? Or are you beta? What kind of guy are you? Like this guys have to transition into all these things that not one thing is your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tough for the boys. That's a tough thing. So if you're going to be working with youth, what a tough thing. Because women, they've never been suppressed that you're not allowed to have your feelings. It's okay, hon. You can let it out. Go ahead and cry. It's okay, hon. It's healthy to cry, healthy. But for boys, if you cry, you're a wuss and you're rejected. Stop being a baby. Man up.
Right. Brush it off.
Yeah. Rub some dirt on it. Walk it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Stuff. What's what's our value then?
Right.
It's tough for the boys. You got two boys that are in that 20s range. Like that whole system is flipped. And it's a really tough thing where you're like, I want to be empathetic and love you for who you are. But that will not be reciprocated.
Right.
Wonder where resentment comes in.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, you think about it, it's like, you're right. It's like, you think back to, or I think back to whatever, right? And he's gone now, he's passed.
Sure.
And he had his own baggage too,
Of course.
you know, but yeah, he knew how bumped up my family history was.
I'm sure his was no better. His was, you both fell in love
but
with
I
what you knew.
compound that with, you know, financial security and yeah.
Which
just
again,
a little bit more stipulations added onto that.
But security, safety, reassurance, all those things are part of the female hypergamy system for sure.
Right.
And no question that it shouldn't be there, but how much pressure does that put on the guy to make sure that all of your safety, security needs are met? But how many times have you ever worried about his safety, security needs?
Right. Right.
Never. Guys don't get the luxury for that. We don't get to have safety, security. If somebody comes in to hurt you, who's got to handle it? Well, that means my body and my life are put in harm's way, so yours isn't. Where do I get to have the luxury of safety, security? It's on me. I don't get that luxury.
Right.
So who cares about that guy's feelings, though, right?
Right.
That's where most men lie. It's tough. It's tough. You got boys who are transitioning into this thing where they're like, why am I not being loved for who I am at all? It's a tough game, and it takes a long time. Like you said, like in your 20s, you wouldn't give a fuck, but in your 40s, you're like, oh, damn, I see that. It takes a long time, you know? It takes a long time for the evolution that we have to go through to have that wake up, and it's tough for guys. Because I just have to wait 20 more years, Mom, and then my empathy will matter again.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's crazy. I've never, the way that you really good at telling the story and yeah, I'm just baffled right now because I've never thought of it. I mean, I've known, right, but I've never thought of it that way. And now I'm gonna go in there and like hug and kiss my husband and tell him I'm sorry.
Well, you don't have to be sorry, but just praise him.
You know what I mean.
Love him and love his heart. And another thing that people like, beat up guys for is that we're usually angry. Guys show a lot of anger. Well, what other option do we have? What other thing would be respected, you know? And even still in a relationship, anger is shamed. And so you can't cry, you can't get angry, you can't over talk or get, you know, really negotiation talk where like, I'm just going to talk over and control the conversation, because then you're manipulative, judged again. And so the only option is just suppression. No wonder.
And then it explodes.
And then who cares about your feelings? Nobody. So then who are you going to talk to? And then if you're isolated because you have so much responsibility to try to be all of these things that are provider, and not one of them is loved for who you are at all. And nobody seems to really appreciate, nobody seems to care. And so I have no support system, nobody I talk to, nobody who cares at all. I'm only used for what I provide. And that's even being shamed because it's not good enough. Suicide starts looking real fucking good. Why do you think it's 5 times more for men than women?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who are they supposed to talk to? And nobody cares. And it's actually not too far from the truth. This is where society, I would say, even on my women's side, I would be doing such a harder push to have women integrate empathy for men. Like, be able to look at that guy as a human, not a rock. He's the rock for our family. Oh yeah, well, what feelings do rocks have? Well, they don't have any feelings. A rock.
Right, it's a rock.
Well, that's a human. It's human. And inside of that dude's a little boy. It's a little boy who wants to be like, Kathy, look what I can do. Look how strong I am. Cheer me on. Be there. Like, who's your favorite? Yeah, I'm badass. Like, my man's so strong. Like, we got that little boy inside of us, but you know what? People stopped caring. And so when you go in there, like, just cheer that boy. Let's just cheer him on. Just tell him, like, hey, like, I'm really, like, I got a good man. Like, make a big deal out of his small stuff. Because remember, deep down inside of us, we just want to impress our girl.
Yeah.
We were always like that.
I'm with you.
Look how strong I am, Mom. Yeah, that's in there still. You know, why do you think cheerleaders are cheering the football team on? What do you think? They love that. Like, cheer us on. Cheer us. And you don't hear the cheerleaders going like, do a good job and maybe we'll cheer more. Not good enough. No cheers till the end of the game. You didn't win. No cheers for you. Like, no, cheerleaders cheer when you're down. Cheer that boy on. Cheer him on. You get more of whatever you wanted the more you cheer him on.
Yeah.
But you're right. Adhere to his humanity. That's a human.
Yeah. The biggest thing that, you know, when I started out on this journey, my struggle with just focusing on women, because everybody's focused on women. It's like, I've got 3 boys though. I got 3 young men.
Who helps these guys? You
know, so I didn't want to, like, even some of the people that I've talked to in coaching, they're like, oh, your focus is women. I'm like, but why? Why does it have to be women only? Why does it, you know, pick a lane, you know, whatever for your brand, you know, what, but why? You know, so I'm like, I don't want to be put in a box. I want to be able to do where I want to go. And I've always been that way, you know, even years ago when I did stuff in the community as a 20-something-year-old, and then it went sideways because of my divorce, and we kind of both lost track of what we were doing. Right. Even then, I didn't want to be put in a box. It's like, if I want to help the homeless, I'm going to help the homeless. If I want to help a single mom, I'm going to help a single mom. If I want to help a youth, I'm going to help a youth. I don't want to be put in a box where this is my audience. Everybody's my audience. Yes, I get the branding. You got to kind of whatever, but I'm like, I don't want to just say that I'm there for single moms. What if I want to be there for a single dad? I get it. It's a tricky line. It's a tricky line. It's a tricky line, but you know, I think about my boys and I'm just like, what about them? And this conversation is one of my aha moments. I'm telling you. It's because now my wheels are going, you know, and I'm like,
if you want to master a skill,
if I'm going to be an advocate for something,
see if you can master empathy for your guy.
Right.
It is extremely rare. It's single digits that women can do this, just so you know. It's single digits, and probably low single digits of women that can look at their man and say, I truly care about his heart. When you see him angry, anger is how we cry. You know, you used to do it. When you were the most sad is when you were the most angry. And the more angry you see him, he's not a fucking psycho. He's a hurt heart guy.
Right.
And you go, instead of going like, what the fuck is your problem? You go, baby, what hurts so bad to have you be like this?
Right. Right. Yep. Real talk.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And honestly, I don't want this to be the last talk.
Doesn't have to be. Schedule another one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We actually got booked out so fast. I didn't realize how many people wanted to be on the podcast. Randy didn't either. So we've been just working with people and doing stuff. And we post up like stuff when I'm working with clients or working with people, like just breakthroughs and group stuff. I've got multiple groups, you know, so it's like I'm still actually doing the job outside of this. And so we didn't expect the influx of how many people would want to be on the show. I didn't know. And so we got booked out. All of the normal like one-on-one calls that would have been like, you know, working with clients became podcast. I'm like, okay, here we are. So the window that we have right now is a lot smaller than it will be next time.
Sure.
Because I had, like I said, this is, I did 2 groups, 1, 2, you're my third podcast today. And then I've got 2 clients that I have in 8 minutes. So the day is pretty
I get
solid.
It.
And
when I was recording for my girl fight, and I told myself I would do it for 1 year, give it a year. And then I'm okay not doing it forever. I was like, and I'm not going to even do it every week. Because again, it's that box thing, right? It's mine. I can do what I want with it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot, you know, and I loved it and I love it still. And I'm still going to do it. I'm just going to be more random with it. But I get it.
The rules. You do what you want.
Yeah, I make the rules. So this has been really good.
I think that
we're friends on Facebook and on LinkedIn. I'd love to stay in touch and get some more mind dumps from you.
Book another one. Randy's taking care of it from now on. So she's going to make sure that we can book the schedule. So anybody who's ever seen like Randy's working the schedule, she'll give longer blocks for this. And so, yeah, let's do more. And let's, if you can too, have the questions that like, I work with the women and the women are saying this, or this is the thing that, give me the guy stuff. Give me the one, like, what do men really need? What are the ladies are complaining about this? What's going on the guy side? You give me the hard ones and I'll tell you what the boys are doing.
Okay.
You know, but we do it in a healthy way. We're not going out there going like men are the best, women
we're not bashing. No, there's no bashing.
Not you. I'm just saying like,
this is
we'll
all
give you
for
the boys side
to help me to grow in this wonderful way, right? So that I can then put it back out there in the universe.
Speaking of put it back out there in the universe, if somebody's going to get you on stage or do something with Kathy James, where do they go? What do they do? How do they find you? And how do they hire you?
Okay. You can find me at www.kathyjames.org. That's KATHY James.org. And then my email is hello@kathyjames.org.
Love it. And we'll have the links and everything in the bios for all the spots that we post this. So Kathy James, to our future conversations, because we will have more in the future. Thank you so much for this time. And I appreciate you for not telling Joyce about our battlefield of the mind.
Someone else might. I can't make any promise.
Damn you, Joyce. Thank you, Kathy. It's been an honor and a pleasure. We'll see you later. Thank you for everything.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Click on the button and you can become the hero in your own story. It's time to start making the choices to change. And the evolution that you're going to do begins with choosing the next step. This is the way. And together, we're always stronger.